A young boy dies on a Burger King playground. Find out what happened right now on ABC 30 News.
Also a warning from the White House, the nation could face a power crunch. But what we have found out will put your mind and your budget at ease.
Plus, how buying a fixer-upper home could get you a special break on your taxes.
And after weather, my special report, medical mistakes, learn how they're putting many children at risk. Welcome to ABC 30 News at 10. I'm Gina Curry. Thank you for joining us tonight.
And I'm Rick Edlund. He wanted to grow up and be a football player, but after a tragic accident yesterday, today his family is getting ready for his funeral. ABC 30's Rob Yagman tells us the site of the accident is a place many of us think is safe.
Well, it's an unfortunate tragedy, especially, with a child so young.
4 years young. Raymond King leaves behind two older brothers. One of them was playing with him in this Burger King playground yesterday morning when something happened.
The mother went to retrieve the 4-year-old. She observed that the child was stuck between two pieces of the equipment, playground equipment.
The boy was rushed to the emergency room where he laid unconscious for 14 hours. His heart finally gave up early last night. In the play area today, a new handmade sign tells customers the area is closed, but a permanent yellow sign above the equipment warns parents to watch their kids.
I think the take-home message from a terrible event like this is you can never watch your kids too closely.
The National Safe Kids Campaign website says more than 14 million children are treated at emergency rooms each year for unintentional injuries. Unfortunately, more than 6,300 of those kids die. That's something Dr. Peters says is easily avoidable.
The things I see down here all the time are oftentimes preventable by very simple measures. We're just asking them to keep an eye on their kids, common sense things.
Rob Yagman, ABC 30 News.
The victim's mother worked at the Burger King. The company released a statement today. The entire Burger King system extends its deepest sympathy to the family and friends of the Burger King employee whose child passed away. The investigation leads police to believe that this was an accident. No criminal charges will be filed.
Raymond's funeral is expected to happen later this week. Carbon monoxide killed 5 Vietnamese men found in South St. Louis, a garage there. That's what the St. Louis chief medical investigator told ABC 30 News today. The father of one of the victims found the boys yesterday. The car's ignition was on, but the engine was not running when police got to the scene. Neighbors say the friends had been out late and likely decided to spend the night together. Tonight, one victim of yesterday's deadly drive-by shooting attacks has been released from the hospital. At last check, a second surviving victim, 22-year-old Andre Purnell, remains in critical condition. As we told you last night at 10 o'clock, 3 people were killed in separate drive-by shootings in North St. Louis. Police say the suspects were last seen when they ditched their stolen station wagon in the 4400 block of Plaza at Camilla. Police are also searching tonight for someone who shot and killed a 19-year-old yesterday in North St. Louis. Police say this crime is not tied to the drive-by shootings. Anton Womack was shot in the head as he walked down the sidewalk near the corner of North 20th and Malincrot. Police believe the shooter is driving a blue 1998 Buick.
A porch in South St. Louis collapsed today, falling on top of a 13-year-old girl. She is in stable condition tonight at a local hospital. The building's about 80 years old and appeared to be structurally sound. Police say the girl was walking down the steps of her apartment building in the Dutchtown area of South St. Louis when it came crashing down on her.
And this young lady was coming from the second floor, walking down the steps, and the steps collapsed below her. And then just that surrounding woodwork is what folded in and fell on top of her.
Now, police say the girl was alert and showing movement in both her hands and feet when she was taken to the hospital.
It's a serious problem that has plagued St. Louis for decades. How to get people to rehabilitate and move back into old homes in historic neighborhoods. Congressman Dick Gephardt was in town today pitching a bill that could give redevelopment efforts another boost. ABC 30's Paul Brown is here with the details. Paul?
Well, Gina, the problem is mostly in neighborhoods where urban flight has left homes deserted, where the middle class moves out, and where poverty and crime take over. Gephardt is hoping that up to $40,000 in tax credits will convince people to rebuild and move back.
I grew up in this neighborhood.
The Ville neighborhood could be one of many in St. Louis that might benefit if the bill passes. The entire area is considered historic. Before civil rights laws, this was one of the few places in the city where blacks were allowed to buy homes. Today, some houses are well kept. Many others are abandoned.
We should not be tearing down these homes. They should be, part of the history of the neighborhood. And if you had a historic tax credit, for example, then that would give developers and homeowners possibly another avenue of being able to rehabilitate those.
Congressman Richard Gephardt hosted a forum today along with other prominent U.S. reps trying to drum up support for a historic tax credit bill. The legislation is now working its way through Congress. The bill would provide a $40,000 maximum tax credit. Homeowners who earn twice the average income would not be eligible. It would require homeowners to live in their rehabbed homes for at least 5 years. And it would allow developers to pass tax credits on to home buyers. The tax credit could be transferred to a mortgage credit certificate for low-income and middle-class families that don't have enough tax liability to use the tax credits.
I am committed to make this federal proposal, or something like it, a reality, because I believe it would lead to a renaissance of our nation's older neighborhoods.
A similar bill was proposed in the last Congress, but the credits were dropped in the closing weeks of the final session. And with the focus on tax cuts in Washington right now, this could be a tough sell again this time around. Rick?
All right, Paul, thank you. A bill which would allow mothers to safely abandon their newborn children passed the Missouri Senate today. Kirkwood Republican Michael Gibbons sponsored Safe Places for Newborns. Now, if it becomes law, a frightened mother could leave an infant 5 days or younger at a licensed health care facility without fear of criminal punishment. Another life-saving measure for kids was kicked off by the Department of Transportation and Ford Motor Company. The $30 million program called Boost America is targeted toward families who have children too big for baby seats but not big enough for seat belts. Both Ford and the DOT say booster seats will help cut down on the growing number of child deaths in accidents.
Nearly 500 children between the ages of 4 and 8 die every year in traffic crashes.
It's a concern that we have for families and children and safety, and it's consistent and aligned with the safety creed of the Ford Motor Company.
Now, as part of the effort to prevent child deaths, Ford is giving away 1 million booster seats, half to the United Way and half to Ford customers. Currently, only Washington, California, and Arkansas have booster seat laws.
Vice President Dick Cheney warned today the country needs an ambitious boost to meet projected electricity demands. ABC 30's Dawn Kendrick is in our newsroom with a look at what it means for us. Dawn?
Well, Gina, while California struggles with rolling blackouts, the power prognosis in Missouri and Illinois looks promising this summer. The people who supply it to you say there are plenty of plants, especially in Illinois, even to meet an expected 6% increase in demand for energy. There they are, lined up at Ted Drew's. St. Louis's telltale sign, warmer weather is here. And with one of the warmest Aprils on record.
86 was the high, and again, we got off to a very warm start today.
It may not be long until cold custard alone no longer cuts it.
It gets very hot here, and people use an enormous amount of energy.
So much energy nationwide that Vice President Dick Cheney projects a need for 1,900 new power plants.
That averages out to more than 1 new power plant per week, every week, for the next 20 years.
Helpful maybe in California, where there's more demand for power than there is supply. Just ask this guy, here on vacation, from rolling blackouts.
When your PG&E bill, that's the utility company out there, goes up 400% in 1 month, well, that's time you get a little bit disgusted with somebody.
The good news for those of us who live here is there's supposed to be plenty of power to go around this summer.
But certainly the region is in good shape for this summer, absolutely, both on the transmission side and the generation side.
Okay, so we shouldn't have a problem getting power or making it, but this St. Louisan, still hot over winter heating bills, has already hesitantly flipped on the AC.
When you flip that notch up, what'd you think? What were you thinking?
More money we have to give away.
And here's where Ameren UE has more good news for you.
Well, one of the things you got to remember is power and natural gas are very different right now. Power is still regulated, and it is still very much capped in terms of the price they pay.
Right.
So they're not subject to volatility in terms of any kind of supply and demand volatility, as they are with natural gas, as they were this winter with natural gas.
Unlike California, Missouri's rates, as she said, are regulated and have in fact been reduced 4 times in 10 years. In Missouri, the price of power is 14% below the national average. Illinois is also well below the average price nationwide. Gina, Rick?
Okay, thanks, Dawn. As Dawn pointed out in her story, April has gone out with a summer feel.
We saw her just a minute ago. So, Karen, how does Tuesday morning look?
Well, we're going to keep the summer-like weather continuing. We saw the summer heat today, and with the heat, we saw some late afternoon thunderstorms develop. All clear now, and it looks like we'll be clear for the rest of the evening. Look for a lot of clouds out there, though. No rain, but clouds. A very warm start to the day, right around 63 degrees. And again, we're going to see temperatures top off into the mid-80s, and we'll take a look at how long this is going to last and just how hot it was in April. All that coming up.
Great. We'll look forward to it. The International Space Station welcomes a historic visitor.
That story's still ahead right here on ABC 30 News.
Plus a special report to medical mistakes, what you need to know about the problem and a solution coming up after weather. And
I'm Sports Director Rick Powers. Blues forward Marty Reasoner is the reason why the Blues are leading Dallas. More on him and an injury update on Stars forward Mike Modano later in sports.
And after that, a story that would go well with a side of sauerkraut. We'll explain.
You're watching ABC 30 News at 10 with Rick Edlund, Gina Curry, Karen Shipman, and Rick Powers.
I'm Chris Bury. Coming up on Nightline, an Oklahoma City
cheeseburger, now just 99 cents.
You gotta eat.
ABC 30 News at 10 continues, bringing news home.
he paid $20 million, and Dennis Tito appears to be getting his money's worth in space.
Yeah, the first-paying tourist made history and looked happy as he arrived at the International Space Station today. Scenes of happiness and some relief at the International Space Station. After 9 months of rigorous physical and mental training in the Russian space program and $20 million of his own cash, Dennis Tito has become the space station's first paying guest, realizing a lifetime's dream. And in the minute after the hatches opened, there was word from the man himself.
It's a great trip here, and I don't know about this adaptation that they talk about. I'm already adapted, so I love space.
Despite misgivings from NASA that the first space tourist might be a safety risk, his journey aboard a Russian Soyuz spacecraft has gone uninterrupted according to plan. NASA only dropped its objections in the days before the launch after Dennis Tito signed agreements not to sue in the event of injury and to pay for any sensitive equipment that he should break. But Russian space officials say their paying guest will have no role in the day-to-day running of the International Space Station. Instead, he will spend his 6 days on board listening to music and taking photographs before returning to Earth. By the way, this pioneering visit into space may be just the first. The Russians say they're already talking to several individuals about another privately funded trip. Meanwhile, after installing a robotic arm and working through some unwanted computer problems at the space station, astronauts aboard the shuttle Endeavour are ready to come home. The problem is the weather in Cape Canaveral, Florida isn't cooperating. NASA says if tomorrow's forecast doesn't improve, Endeavour might have to land in Southern California.
Missouri lawmakers have shot down a $3 million request to buy a couple of airplanes. State officials wanted to replace 2 aging piston-powered planes with newer turboprop models. But legislative budget writers say the finances are too tight and they won't allow it. Typically, the planes are used to shuttle state agency officials to meetings and events. Former Senator Bob Kerrey is not planning to give back the Bronze Star he received for a raid on a Vietnamese village where civilians were killed. He recently disclosed that about 13 unarmed civilians were killed by mistake, that the Vietnam War Medal was undeserved, and that the military's 4th highest award meant nothing to him. Kerry doesn't deny telling Time magazine reporters he was considering returning the star.
Checking out tonight's trivia question, what building was dedicated here in St. Louis on April 30th, 1913?
Was it City Hall, the Art Museum, Jefferson Memorial, or D, World's Fair Pavilion? We'll talk about it coming up a little bit later. Plus, nearly 100,000 people die every year due to medical mistakes, and many of them are children. Our special report after Karen's weather.
And the month of April is coming to a close, and it certainly was a hot one. We'll take a look at some of the April stats and to see what's in store for the next 5 days. Stick around. I'll have a forecast next.
Everybody loves camping.
Unfortunately, Travis normally is working.
So we go by ourselves. We're nature girls. Yeah, we're nature girls. Roasting marshmallows, watching the stars at night.
To get ready for a camping trip, we load up everybody to go to Walmart.
Oh, look at the lanterns.
They always have good quality stuff.
Great camping equipment. Bullseye!
They can get all the stuff they want, and I can afford to pay for it.
Get everything for the great outdoors right here at Walmart.
We got it all at Walmart.
Why go anywhere else?
At Rothman Furniture, choose the hottest new styles at low discount prices. Plus, take your choice of these great credit plans. Pay no interest charges until May 2003 or pay absolutely nothing for 1 full year. Nobody offers a bigger selection than Rothman Furniture with slash prices store-wide on living rooms, bedrooms, dining sets, recliners, tables, and more. And get this amazing choice. No interest until May 2003 or pay nothing for 1 full year. These are the final days, so hurry at Rothman Furniture.
A little hail damage at Marshall Ford in O'Fallon, Missouri means big savings on a lot full of vehicles that must be sold quickly. The Car Medic has set up shop on our lot. Come see the repair sample car on our showroom floor. Watch dings and dimples disappear, then deal for huge savings on the new or pre-owned vehicle of your choice. Storm damage at Marshall Ford left no broken glass, no major dents. Just major savings of hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Don't wait. The hail sale is going on now at Marshall Ford, your better-for-less dealer in O'Fallon, Missouri.
He is my light and my salvation. He's always right. He's always patient. I pinch myself. It's like I'm dreaming it. He says, come here, baby, and kiss me like you mean it. He calls me baby, says, kiss me like you mean it.
Welcome back, everyone. It was another hot one across the bi-state area today, and the afternoon heating sparked off some summer-like late afternoon thunder showers pushing through parts of the viewing area. You can see all of that moving through about the last 6 hours or so right now, well over into Illinois. In Missouri, we just have a few spotty showers in and near Columbia. That's about it. We'll open it up and show you that there's nothing severe, but we are picking up a few strong cells that are giving us some strong winds over in central Illinois. That's about it. The clouds are going to hang around, and then we could see another round of light rain with this batch of moisture as it continues to pull off towards the east. But that's about it. I think we will be dry for the remainder of the evening into tomorrow, aside from a few spot showers. It was a hot one today. 86 was the high in St. Louis, even warmer across the river in Belleville, where they hit 88, 85 in Cape Girardeau, and warm in Kansas City as well today at 80. And it was a rather warm April. Check out some of the stats for us. Our average high was 73 degrees. Our average low was 54. You may recall the warm day was on the 9th, where we saw a high of 91 degrees. Our coldest day was back on the 1st at 31. And something that was a little bit unusual to me was that we actually saw 12 days of 80-degree or more heat. So very, very hot April, and it looks like May is going to get off to a very warm start as well. Here's where we are right now out at Lambert Field. Cloudy skies, 70 is our current temperature, and we have a south wind at 9. 63 is where we got started. Our normal low is 51, our normal high 71, and there is the rainfall total for you out at Lambert Field. Across the area, you can see where the cold front is riding right now. The temperature behind it, considerably cooler, 54 in North Platte, out ahead of the front temperatures in the 60s and in the 70s. That's where we're going to be overnight, but a quick warm-up again tomorrow morning. We will see the warm air continue to pull in from the southwest. There's the cold front. It's going to slide through here late tomorrow night. I think we'll get the tail end of the front, so we could see a repeat performance like what we saw today with the late afternoon showers. That's about it. Again, we're looking for highs in the mid-80s and a very warm start to the day at 63 degrees with mostly cloudy skies in the morning. Mostly cloudy skies will make way to partly cloudy skies in the afternoon. Again, look for a high right around 85 degrees, and here's how we look for the next several days. Should be dry through Thursday, and then we have a chance of showers coming into the picture on Friday. That's going to cool us off to temperatures where they should be. We should be around 71. These temperatures are a lot closer, but still the 80s are rather nice and toasty.
I'm like you. I didn't realize it had been so warm in April.
Yeah, unbelievable. 12 days of 80-plus heat.
Keep it coming. It feels good. All right, what building was dedicated here in St. Louis on April 30th, 1913?
Yeah, say C? Did you ever see in the morning?
I'm going to say B. And it's
Ooh,
C.
I've been on a
Sure.
roll.
What does sure mean?
I'm going with the one. Right.
Okay. Well, they're blamed for the deaths of as many as 98,000 people each and every year.
Now, a new study shows one type of medical mistake is even more common among pediatric patients. 2 years ago, Dr. Lay's 7-year-old daughter, Jacqueline, was on a morphine pump following surgery to fix a broken elbow. In the middle of the night, Dr. Lay says she found her daughter lying unconscious in her hospital bed.
The pump itself was misprogrammed, but very difficult to program, so that it was giving her way too much morphine.
Dr. Lay says she and nurses revived Jacqueline. A new study finds that errors like this one are common on pediatric wards. The study's authors examined nearly 11,000 medication orders for children in 2 Boston hospitals and found 115, or about 1%, were incorrect and could have harmed the child. The type of errors varied. Sometimes dosage was wrong. Sometimes the drug was given too often or not often enough.
Children can't communicate as readily to us when they might perhaps be suffering a side effect to a medication, or if we administer them a medication that's incorrect or perhaps intended for the patient in the bed next to them.
The ward with the highest rate of potentially harmful drug mistakes, the neonatal intensive care unit. The study authors say preemies don't have the reserves to recover as easily from a mistake. The study also found that nearly all of the mistakes, 93%, could have been avoided if hospitals would have used computer programs to catch mistakes. Some hospitals have written their own programs because it's hard to find one for pediatric patients that's commercially available.
It's a technology that today is custom-made, it's homegrown, and it's not yet at a point where it can be used widespread throughout hospitals.
One of the study's authors says it's worth it for hospitals to write their own. Studies have shown it's a proven technique for cutting down on medication errors that harm patients.
They make millions of dollars for playing games. Sports stars are the heroes of our society, but for fans, that hero worship comes with a growing price tag. In baseball these days, the average major leaguer now makes more than $2 million a year. Drew more than 3 million fans last year. They say they don't have enough money to compete. Higher salaries and ticket prices, new stadiums, the price of being a fan is sure to go up, and you may be surprised how much. I hope you can join me tomorrow night right here for Sports Salaries. That's here on ABC 30 News tomorrow night at 10. Well, he may not be coming back to basketball, but Michael Jordan is coming to the Science Center this Friday. His movie, that is. Michael Jordan to the Max will be on Omnimax. It details his last championship season with the Bulls, and best of all, his signature dunk is 4 stories high and in slow motion.
Is that all?
Worth seeing.
Yeah,
Worth
hey,
seeing.
we're ready to see the Blues go on and win another one.
Yes, I'm sure that they would like to play tonight. They're on such a roll.
Yeah, they are.
We were at their practice today, and Avs Kings highlights tonight. Plus, it all went wrong in racing, but there's a happy ending to this night.
Good Morning America's Extreme Urban Challenge is on.
Raceway.com. Gateway International Raceway. Real racing, real close.
After dominating most of the season on the first day of this month, it didn't seem possible the Blues could make this kind of run. Yes, they have hit a high note, but they still need 2 more wins starting with Game 3 tomorrow night at the Savva Center. The odds are with St. Louis in 9 playoff series. The Blues have never lost when starting 2-0. Today, the talk was taking the early lead. That's happened every game and put Dallas in a hole. And, of course, Marty Reisner is a huge reason why. Besides his 3 goals, Reisner has impressed his line mate, Keith Tkachuk.
You know, straight and worked hard in practices off the ice to when he got the chance, he was able to perform at a high level. So you got to give the kid a lot of credit for being ready, even though he's from Boston College.
That's because Keith is from Boston University. Arch rivals, they don't like each other. Good news on defenseman Bryce Salvador today. Despite the check against the boards and the huge gash on his forehead, Salvador should be available to play tomorrow. And Stars centerman Mike Modano says he will play in Game 3. He's got a sprained ankle, but with the Stars in big trouble, he's got to be back in the lineup. Even though the Blues are still 2 wins away from clinching and say the other series doesn't matter, you know they're tuned in for the Kings and Avs. Game 3 tonight. The ex-King Rob Blake back on LA ice for the first time. Oh, it trickled past Felix Fontaine, and he can't stop it. It's 1-0. Kings come back with a 2-man advantage. Luc Robitaille scored to make it 1-1. Peter Forsberg has scored. It's 2-1 Colorado after 2. The Sabres in Pittsburgh tonight down 1-0. Curtis Brown is going to shoot it off the goalpost and in to tie the Pens at 1. Third period, all Buffalo. Up 2-1, Miroslav Shatan takes it around the net. The wraparound makes it 3-1. Buffalo wins 4-1. Trail the Penguins now 2-1. With the Cards off tonight, their April record is set at the 500 mark. Last year, a different story. The Birds were 17-8 and 4.5 games in first place. Now, there's no doubt they miss Mark McGuire. Jim Edmonds, of course, is batting .400. And where would the Cards be without Albert Pujols? Probably with 5 less wins. Hitting .370, 8 homers, 27 RBIs. They've tried, but no one has found a way to get this guy out yet.
I'm not amazed that he's doing well. I'm amazed that his attitude is so good and his willingness to learn and listen and go out there and do exactly what he's been told and not just be stubborn and go out there and just swing crazy and do things that other rookies do.
Cards open a 3-game series tomorrow night in Miami. To the NBA playoffs, San Antonio with a chance to put Minnesota away tonight in Game 4. Tight game early. Spurs get it here. They go on the break. Malik Rose will put it in, tied at 19. Time running out in the first half. Tim Duncan, a big night, gets it. He's going to put San Antonio up at half. The Spurs pull away in the second half. Duncan with 24. Spurs win the game 97-84 and win the series 3-1. And finally, a happy ending to what was one of the scariest racing accidents I've ever seen. Here we go on the Powers Play of the Day. The IRL race in Atlanta over the weekend. Jack Miller's car caught fire, goes airborne, and so did everybody else. Started a chain reaction accident with 11 cars in all. Now, as bad as this looked, there was only 1 injury.
What?
Miller had a concussion, and that's it. Everyone else was fine.
All of that fire and...
Yeah.
Tires rolling around.
Tires, parts of cars disintegrating. Thank goodness.
Hard
Just
to believe.
one.
Good safety equipment.
Yeah, it shows it there.
Phew. Okay. Well, it's a good thing we don't have smell-o-vision.
Because our next story could have you craving sausage. Stay there.
There's a deal for you at T.R. Hughes. See our ad in the Post-Dispatch folio. T.R. Hughes, Anderson Windows, and you. A winning combination.
Finally tonight, how do you honor your town's biggest employer?
In Alberta, they paid tribute to a giant kielbasa. That's a giant garlic sausage, which is a product made by Stonich's meat processors. The links were lifted high above the city streets. Stonich's meat processors have employed workers in Mundare, Alberta for more than 40 years. That's bizarre.
Reason enough for a tribute. That's a big one right there. Thank you for being with us on this Monday night.
Keep it right here, and please join us again tomorrow for ABC 30 News at 5 and at 10. Good night.
Good night.